Welcome back, everybody, to our challenge podcast. We're going over episode 7, Die Another J. How'd you guys enjoy the episode?
I mean, besides the kind of fight chest bumping thing that was happening, I mean, it was all right. I wasn't too impressed with this episode.
Yeah, it was similar to last week for me as well. I just the writing was on the wall both times, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
But who went up for you guys?
I'm actually going to say Leroy and Cam, even though they're not a duo, they are a duo on different teams. They're through the roof for me right now. I'll make a bold prediction and say I think one of them for sure is going to win on their respective sides. So I think those two are way up, and yeah, and probably the Big Brother alliance is down. So
yeah, I agree. I put Leroy up. I think him proving himself and getting his skull was a big move for him, but with him and Cam together, and I honestly think they're just at the top of the house right now.
I also had Leroy up, so that was easy. Who went down for you, Meg?
Down, I mean, probably Teresa. I just don't see her making it the whole way to the end. So, Fan Guy, something you said last week just made me start thinking about my ups and downs differently, because I've been scoring up and down just per episode, I think, on who's in the best place and position in the house to continue to stay. But I'm trying to start thinking about who is likely to win the whole thing. So I put Teresa down just because I don't think that she's not in a good place in the house, which makes me think that she's not going to get her chance to be in a challenge. I think once she gets down there to the pit, I think the pressure is going to get to her, and I don't see her winning an elimination, depending on who she's against, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree with you a lot about that, actually, which is weird because Teresa's actually, her stock's been going up in terms of how I think she's actually going to fare in challenges. I actually think she has a legit chance physically to possibly compete in a final. But her path to getting there is paved with a lot of obstacles. And she's going to have the problem where she's going to go down there constantly. You can almost see that writing on the wall. She's going to go in on the next episode. And if she happens to win, because if she gets thrown in against the right rookie girls, she probably can win an elimination. But is she going to win the next one? And is she going to win the next one? And, if she doesn't pull some sort of Wes or Cam, I'm going to go in and win every single elimination, then she's not going to make the final.
I thought about putting Teresa down as well, but I actually put Lolo and Nam down because I feel like the edit they're getting, that they're just never going to actually get a chance to get a gold skull.
I agree. I mine was between Teresa and Nam more so than Lolo, but I think if there wasn't so much drama, I think he would have probably been the contender to be down in the pit. But
I think that was a competition Leroy knew he could win too. When he thought, even though that did suit Jay's strong, his skill set. I think Leroy, somebody told me he had already done that one in the past.
He won it against Johnny Bananas in Battle of the Exes 2.
Yes.
And they said he really smoked it. I didn't remember it, but they said he smoked it then. So when he went in there and saw that, he was like, all right.
Absolutely. And I mean, Jay, I think, did have some kind of or maybe thought he had an advantage because he's a rock climber. But I mean, there's a big difference between climbing a rock vertically and using your strength to the length and power it takes to move yourself across that beam. And the fact that Leroy did it in less than a minute is just amazing.
Yeah, I don't think anybody could have challenged Leroy as much as Jay, honestly, because Jay put up a fight, but in the end, it wasn't even close.
Leroy's a lot taller too, and I think your length has a lot to do with that.
It does. I think that's a long and thin person challenge. I think Leroy was perfectly built for that challenge. Because it's definitely, I think it's about height, and a smaller person is able to manipulate their weight a little easier. It was custom. I mean, it's a perfect challenge for Leroy. He did not disappoint
Production did try to make it seem like there was a little bit of a battle going on there. That when he was going over that last hump, they showed that same move like 10 times, like making it look like he could not make it across. But it was just that one move. I kept watching. I was like, it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Well, we might as well start with Teresa and Jay coming out of last episode where Jay kind of screwed himself. But Teresa was trying to do a lot in this episode. But do you think she covered for Jay well at any point? And what are your thoughts on her conversation with CT?
I mean, look, Teresa's the reason Jay went. Like, I put more of the blame on Teresa than Jay for this whole thing. They both made some mistakes last week with telling people stuff that they shouldn't have, quite frankly. So I think the blame falls equally on them for kind of just being idiots about running their mouths and saying stuff they didn't have to. But I feel like Teresa's the schemer of the two. Like, she's the one who is being looked at by the rest of the house as more the villain of the two. Most people seem to like Jay, even though he was attached to her.
Corey seems to think they're best friends. I've never seen them speak before.
Actually, yeah, I read an article about that today, where Jay was trying to defend himself, saying he kept winking at Corey, and that Corey took that as he wasn't going in, and Jay was like, I kept winking at him to tell him he was going in, but he didn't he thought it meant he wasn't going in. So I don't know about all that.
You needed to do a Jake, I think, than that. Because a wink kind of means that you're good, I would think, too.
What a smooth move that was. I mean, honestly, I kind of disagree with you, though, Fan Guy, because I don't think it's equal. And I think that, yes, Teresa was the schemer, but I think Jay has not learned from his mistakes. And this is a typical Jay thing to do, where he trusts somebody and is loyal to them, a person that he shouldn't be, to a fault. And he said it himself in his exit interview at the end. But he could have been loyal to Teresa and gone through with what he said he was going to do for her, but at the same time try to keep his friendships in the house intact, along with that, by having some honest conversations with people and letting them know what was going on beforehand, because that's what really screwed him over, is people felt blindsided.
Yeah, I agree with you, Meg. I didn't like how they were trying to edit that Jay was getting screwed by Teresa. At the end there, they seemed to be blaming Teresa, but Jay just went along with the plan that he shouldn't have gone along with, because he could have done a different thing himself, in my opinion.
But do we know what happens if they vote for different things? Like, if Teresa gets up there and says he wants to throw this person in,
That's
what happens
true.
if Jay says he wants to throw someone else in? Then do they go? I mean, who knows?
But I'm just going by
that happened yet.
I'm just going by the edit that it seemed like Jay was just totally going to let Teresa go with the plan, and that he was on board with it.
And it could just be the edit. It just the way it's being edited, it seems like Teresa's being more scandalous than Jay. Like, Jay
I do agree with that.
Jay did the same thing. His actions were just as scandalous, but his whole demeanor doesn't seem as nefarious and duplicitous as Teresa. Teresa seems like, strategically, she's probably one of the stronger players in the house. I mean, she had her ends everywhere, and she stood up to CT, which I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but the fact that she knew that CT was the one who spread it, I mean, she is keeping track of all her conversations, which to me is the mark of a very intelligent player. So she did try to put the blame where it was due, but CT's so just chill most of the time. At least that's how he's edited, that it's pretty tough for someone to go head on with CT and call him a liar and actually get away with it.
Leroy and Teresa have a history too. They've hooked up on the show in the past and had some sort of thing going on between them, I think in Battle of the Exes. So I don't know if that added any fuel to the fire, kind of a behind the scenes reason why Leroy seems just very, very upset about Teresa's move. And I think it was more than oh, we sleep in the same room, you should have told me, because that's kind of bullshit. You don't need to tell anybody anything just because you sleep next to them,
I still think that points out Jay's communication problem, that hurt his own game. And to quote Vince McMahon, Fan Guy, I think Jay screwed Jay in this instance.
He did. And Teresa just didn't help his case. Like they both just said they just told so many unnecessary lies last week. You're not digging yourself out of it. You're just not. Whenever you blatantly go up to people to lie to them, it was like I said, they didn't have to say. It's like you just said, they didn't have to say anything. If they just kept their mouth shut, it's still a blindside. It's still a big move, but people don't feel as betrayed. They actually made a point to tell people they were safe and lie to their face.
That's the whole thing, is that you went out of your way to tell people that they were good, knowing that they weren't.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they came up to them and said, "Am I good?" Oh yeah, because like, what else are you supposed to say? CT said it in this episode, and these kind of games just run that way. You tell people what they want to hear. That's typically how you do it, but you don't go out of your way to lie to people unnecessarily.
Even though CT threw Teresa under the bus, do you think he might take a shot at Darrell at some point soon, not wanting him in the final?
I don't know if CT wants to see Darrell in the crater.
Yeah, but does he want to see him in a final? I mean, I just think that CT's playing a very low-key game right now, and I don't see him really going out of his way to make any big moves. I think he's letting the chips fall where they fall and rolling with the punches. And but he's going to have to start thinking about going down there to the crater soon if he wants to see a final himself. So I think at this point he needs to be more focused on when and who he's going to get his skull against.
And that's exactly
not going to be Darrell.
Yeah, he doesn't want with somebody like Mishi in the house. CT's not going to be like, let me just run into this elimination against Darrell, because there's just several guys that he can beat a lot easier. But I agree with you, Meg. Like, he's going to have to find it. But I think CT has a good enough social game where he will get down into that crater. Be it him throwing himself in, or he has enough pull in the house to get the house hooked. Yeah. He can be like, guys, this is my time. I want it. And everybody's going to defer to him because he's a legend.
We're getting to the point, I think, where people are going to start to have to put themselves down there because we have 4 skulls left.
Especially on the guy's side, because there's only 1 skull left.
If it's equal 5-5, we still don't know how that's working. I mean, we're all assuming, and I think that's a good assumption to make, but it hasn't. I don't know if that's been clarified.
Do you guys have any thoughts on Fessy's apology to Corey and about him being self-conscious? Okay.
Bunch of bullshit.
Thank you. Meg said it best. I can't beat that. Is a synopsis right there. It's a fucking tool. I said it.
I'll just leave it at that.
You don't go. I'm sorry. Let me just go.
I'm not leaving it at that.
No, we're not moving on yet. You don't go on shows like Big Brother and The Challenge or whatever if you don't feel comfortable talking to people. That is the whole underlying thing of especially Big Brother. Big Brother is all conversation and getting people to trust you and feeling comfortable having conversations with people. You don't go on shows like that if you feel uncomfortable having conversations with people or you feel self-conscious about talking to people about how you feel or whatever. I mean, it's bullshit. It was a ploy to get Corey back on his good graces, and I think Corey has shown a lot more grace than most of the guys that we see on this show. And especially this season, I'm just really loving the person that Corey is in this season compared to who he was in previous seasons. So, yeah, I mean, Fessy can fuck off.
And you could tell Corey didn't buy it. You could tell. I mean, it was so well said, Meg, because he was just being graceful. I'm going to accept this man's apology. I know you're full of shit. I mean, the fact, look, if Fessy has such a problem talking to people, etc., why are you going to get rid of one of the 2 people in the house you can talk to?
Yeah, true.
What are you doing, bro? No, this was complete. It was a complete smokescreen of just.
I Corey too. I mean, I just feel like I would be so offended by him. He flew out to Corey's gender reveal party. They're legit friends in real life, and you've done nothing but lie and screw him over this entire season. I would be super offended by that.
Now, I will say there can be some players that are self-conscious to talk on camera, and you can see some of those players Tuesday on Isolation 2 at 7 p.m. plug on YouTube. Just wanted to get that plug in.
I can't wait for this next season.
Oh, give it 2 episodes. The first episode's a little long, but episode 2 it gets really good.
But I mean, you know what you're signing up for, right? And I know that people do go on shows like Survivor, especially, I think, just to get out of their comfort zone and put themselves in an uncomfortable situation and see how they fare in that kind of position. But Fessy, I mean, this isn't your first rodeo. You know all of these people. They're not strangers to you. Like, don't sit here and tell me that you beat the fuck out of Nelson in the hall brawl. That has nothing to do with how you feel about talking to people face to face. You were a douche in that moment. Own it.
And he played a whole season. He made the final last season. I didn't hear one thing about his massive anxiety or problems talking to people last season when he navigated his way from beginning to end.
And I'm not at all like degrading or saying people that use, you know, their mental health as a quote unquote excuse for things, because that is absolutely a real life thing that people deal with. And I know, you know, celebrities or reality stars or whatever are not exempt to that, but to use it, I feel like in this way to get back into somebody's good graces is kind of a bitch move.
Yeah, it's almost exactly that. It's almost taking a very real, serious topic and really downplaying the severity of it. Because you only have to look a week or two ago. Leo actually left the show due to mental health reasons.
Yeah.
If it's that bad, if you're really dealing with that level of shit, do what you got to do and leave the show. Like, and you saw TJ will fully support it. He'll give you another shot to come back once you've cleared your stuff up. But don't use it in a snaky, evil, backhanded sort of sneaky way, because that's bad on a lot of levels.
Yeah, Fessy really has gotten himself into some bullshit this season. We'll go into the challenge. I mean, the guy side was trash, but did you guys have any takeaways from this challenge other than the guy side being trash? Teresa's plan was another part of it, but
I read something today about this one too. I read something about the challenge because they were trying to, it was Josh, everyone's favorite player, was trying to explain what happened and tell his side of the story. But it did give a little bit of a different angle. He said, and Anissa confirmed, that the girls and the guys were separated into two different trailers. And Anissa said it was for about 5 or 6 hours because apparently the guys didn't want to do the challenge. They were afraid or something like that. But there was a substantial 3 or 4 or 5 guys that were refusing to do the challenge. And so none of that got showed. They said they're going to talk about it at the reunion. But they didn't want to do the challenge because, I don't know, dangerous or whatever. I mean, it looked fun as hell. Like, I don't get it. But
shouldn't the girls be feeling this way after they've been dropping like flies?
You would think.
They're not okay with this, but they're okay with being thrown off of the semi-truck moving forward.
Also true.
So they said there was a whole big thing where the guys were basically saying they didn't want to go. And Josh said that they told him he was going to be the house vote if he didn't stand with Fessy, and I believe it was Fessy, Corey, Kyle, somebody else, that they didn't want to do the challenge, and they told Josh he had to go with them. And so they actually said Leroy and Jay were the only two who were like, you guys are stupid. So that actually wasn't just for show. Like what you heard TJ say, like y'all are the only 2 votes who count. It was actually more than what we just saw in the challenge. It had a lot to do with the lead up to it, because those were the 2 who were actually wanting to participate in the challenge.
And ironically, the 2 that ended up in the elimination.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that Amber B really showed herself in this challenge. I like that she kind of stood up against Teresa and didn't fall into her like politicking beforehand and put up a good fight. I'm glad to see her actually doing something besides looking cute and pretty in the background.
A for effort.
Hoping that kind of plays out more. Maybe that was a setup for more later in the season, because other than that, like I've been saying these last couple of podcasts, that some of these rookie girls just aren't getting an edit. So I'm hoping something comes.
I mean, what kind of edit can you give them when they're falling off at command? Teresa.
That's true.
Drop. And they're just dropping. Like, but that just says a lot about Teresa, I think. Like, that shows how much power she actually has. Probably more than people realize.
Do you guys think Casey will be a good someone to go up against Cam in a final. She's the one that eliminated Cam from this challenge.
I think if the rest of the house was
Casey is a competitor all around, and I don't know if people are just not thinking about her, if she's underestimated. I don't know how she can be underestimated. I mean, she plays football, women's football. I mean, I don't want to see her in any kind of physical. I mean, I honestly don't want to see anybody in any kind of physical altercation, but Casey especially.
Casey and Cam are definitely, for me, the two front runners. They've even, I mean, I was kind of giving Lolo a lot of credit up there, but I feel like Lolo's kind of third behind those two in terms of where I, you know, and Teresa. I actually do think Teresa is probably one of the better female competitors, but again, she's just ruffled too many feathers.
Where is Lolo? Where is this competitiveness and this athlete and like where is she? When is she going to show up?
Yeah, I'm waiting for it because I ain't seeing it.
She's just built. I mean, you got to give her credit. She's an Olympian. Like on some level, you just know she's built for an endurance competition. She has to be. She has to be. Like you can't go to the Olympics and not just be like.
Maybe she's just really good at one thing though, and then everything else she struggles.
What does she do? Bobsledding?
I feel like she tried to do that, but she also does what's it called when you it's in track where you jump over the things.
A hurdle?
Yes, I believe she's a hurdler. I could
Thanks to my husband who's in the next room and
thank you.
Yeah, and that's a short distance race too. If she's not a long distance runner and she is a sprinter, that's not the same kind of running either. So
where was she in the challenge that the like mini final challenge? Her and Nam completely sunk that.
Yeah, they were a mess.
I think it's a three-headed race on the girls' side. I really do. I think there's only 3 or 4 girls that I legitimately think have a chance to win that side of it.
I'm giving it to Cam. Cam's winning this season. It's my prediction. Hopefully it's not bad like days normally.
That's a good prediction. I mean, I think it's a logical prediction to say her.
Yeah.
I think her and Casey Vegas would have as the two.
But Casey's got to go down to the what do you call it? I keep calling it the pit. What is it? The crater.
Crater. I think she will. I mean, there's still 3 skulls we think on the girl side, and they have all these rookie girls left.
She'll get it herself too. Casey's the type to go down there and get it herself. Like she's not afraid to throw herself in, especially if it's against a Gabby or either of the Ambers. Casey will go down there and get it. And
do you think she was worried at all about it being a female elimination this time when she so willingly followed Leroy?
She didn't seem like.
Casey's not scared.
Like she never said like. I mean, if Leroy says, yeah, I want to go down there, then if it's a girls, Casey automatically is in, right? She doesn't have a choice at that point.
Yeah.
But it never came up. She never even said, like, I mean, it could possibly be a female elimination and I could be in this. Like, maybe they just didn't show that in the edit.
She doesn't strike me as a fearing type, though. Like, if she had to go and she doesn't have a skull yet, especially, I don't see her having any issue saying, let's just do it. I mean, you got to get it. You got to get it.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. I don't think that she was scared to end up in there, but I think it was pretty clear that it was going to be a guy's elimination anyway.
So Leroy and Casey, when do you guys have any more thoughts on Teresa's plan and Darrell and Amber be going after? Well, they had some little talks. There's little spats.
I think Teresa's idea was smart. Like she's a strategic player. She's trying to get rid of the strongest threats. And she recognizes that was even where the Darrell thing came from. And CT recognized it too. Like they said, the guy's never been to a final. He hasn't won. No one's even said his name this season. He's flying so far under the radar that I respect Teresa's strategic mind. And to some degree, if she wasn't making so many social blunders, obviously she can talk to people. So I think her plan was good. Her execution leaves a lot to be desired.
You like her. She's a favorite for you.
I like cerebral players. I guess that's what I consider myself. So I like people. I don't like her execution, but I do like. I'm seeing stuff from her that I wasn't expecting. She's cutthroat, but she's stupid about it. I just wish she'd be cutthroat, little less stupid about it.
I mean, I agree, but this is kind of Teresa's MO. She's always been this way. She's always been pretty strategic, but she's kind of always involved in the drama, and she's a quick match.
What I remember from her strategy is she's always good at avoiding getting put into eliminations, at least. So I guess if she could turn that on, because she's going to be a target, but she also needs a school. So I mean, I guess how do you walk that line?
But now she's teaming up with Corey, and Corey's a pretty strong player. So the likelihood that they win challenges to be the double agents is high now.
True.
The only stronger pair is probably Leroy and Casey, and maybe Cam and Kyle. Those are the three strongest pairs. So yeah, like I said, Teresa, I didn't like her. It's funny you say that because I really came into the season not like her at all. But yeah, I am. I'm seeing a lot out of her that I do like.
You just keep defending her, so I mean, I can read it. But I agree. I think she's a great strategic player. I like to see people actually playing the game. I agree. I don't like her execution at all.
And she's on the Curse team now. She is with Captain Curse Corey, who has
none of his partners left because of Corey.
Yeah, but Teresa said she was battling a hip injury. Maybe it gives out the next.
Hopefully not. So we have Devin, who is still anti-Big Brother, and that whole alliance. Big Brother still sucks, according to Devin. And then he's poking both Josh and Fessy. Well, mostly Fessy, but Josh, of course, had to get involved. But your thoughts on this confrontation?
I mean, I looked at my husband during this whole scene because he's a big challenge fan. Okay, we've watched this together for years, and I was just like, could you imagine living in a house with these people and just having that one person that's just constantly poking at you and pushing your buttons and trying to rally you up, especially when you've been drinking, right? Which makes everything so much worse. And I would totally be throwing drinks on him too. Are you serious? I am not a fan of Josh, but knowing the kind of person, I just can't imagine being in that position, how frustrating that is to constantly have somebody be poking at you. And, okay, Big Brother sucks, whatever. But to people that played the show, I mean, you're constantly saying that. I can just see how one day you'd be like, I'm going to fucking kill you. Shut up. Just shut up for a night and let me enjoy my evening. How frustrating. I like Devin. We all like Devin. We're all fans of Devin's game or whatever and the way that he plays, but how frustrating.
I mean, I enjoyed the poking.
I did too, Nick. I did too.
Yeah, of course it's entertaining, but can you imagine being on the other end of that? It's entertaining to watch, absolutely. But being on the other end of that, especially in this, I mean, you have to think about the environment and the situation that they're into, and you're already kind of in this mind fuck. And to have somebody just constantly poking at you and trying to rally you up, I mean, yeah.
I feel like the people Devin does that to some degree, bring it on themselves through their own actions. I don't think Devin just attacks people out of nowhere. Josh,
what's Kyle doing? Josh wasn't doing anything. Josh, sure, poke at Josh all you want.
But that's all he was poking at Fessy, who has done some really stupid tool-like things this season, and then he was poking at Josh,
I gave Josh a credit at one point when the whole thing first started, and it looked like it was kind of over, after Fessy went outside, and I'm laughing at Devin, mooning them through the glass. I even rewound it to watch it again because I was laughing so hard. But I was like, oh, wow, how uncharacteristic of Josh.
I thought the same way for a few seconds.
Yeah, and then there it went. There he was.
Josh frustrates me more than Devin does.
Oh my God.
If I was in the house, I'd want to punch Josh before I would want to punch Devin.
I mean, absolutely. I'd probably be friends with Devin in all honesty, but I'm just trying to play devil's advocate and think about it from the other side. If somebody that I didn't like was constantly poking at me and riling me up, I mean, I would probably react the same way. I mean, there's so much a person can take.
That's part of his game, though. Devin may have given me my favorite Devin quote ever, which there's a lot to pick from because Devin's had some pretty interesting exchanges with bananas and shit in the past. This week, Devin said something that I can't shake. He goes, I am a layup, but Josh, you're a fucking bigger layup. So you need
No, he was like, I'm a layup, but at least I can admit that I'm a layup. I can own.
And that shows me that Devin is self-aware. Like Devin knows he's not one of the strongest competitors on the guy's side. I do think Devin is underrated in terms of his endurance. And I actually think he probably could do better in the final than people will give him credit for being able to do. But Devin knows he's not an elimination beast. And I just have so much respect for him just calling himself out. Like, I know I ain't shit. But this kid right here is just no, people like Josh would no.
Be like Mike, you're saying?
Yes. Yes, in fact. Yes, in fact. The kind of person, because actually, I apologize to Mike for this. I don't like bullying. I hate bullying. I was bullied as a kid. I don't agree with it. I hate bullies. So I'm not defending bullying. Some people have personalities that attract negative energy from other people, even people who aren't bullies or bad people. And I think Josh is one of those. He's so over the top being a man child, a man baby, whines about this, whines about that, complains over us, just the laundry list of stuff that this guy does that is just, I don't even know the word. It's just like, ugh, like it's gag inducing. It's nauseating. And it's just him as a person. So it's like, when you realize that, it's like, God, I just don't like this guy.
And this individual won Big Brother. Like how?
Yeah. That is why Devin's quote is so right. That Big Brother sucks.
Y'all remember in the first challenge of Josh's season 1 where he stole the Golden Idol thing, where they're like, if you feel unsafe, you can screw your whole team to get the money or whatever. They had like a prize. The very first competition of Josh's season. He thinks he's in so much trouble that he takes the prize and screws his entire team on Big Brother. That is the kind of guy this is. He lives in paranoia because obviously he was probably teased as a kid because of just how he is. And it makes me feel bad for him. But at the same time, those are the people it's hard not to kick when they're down. Like, I hate even just saying it like that, but it's hard not to because they invite it. You feel like they invite it.
Yeah, I used to feel bad for him, but now I feel like he does this purposefully because he has to do it purposely. Sometimes I feel like it's his, this is going to keep me on the challenge ploy. That's what it came off to this time, because when he came at me through the water after being so calm, I was like, this is just ridiculous.
He's just
I know. What was the point? It was over. It was done. Like, go to bed.
Right.
Everybody in that house thinks he's a joke. Like, that's the best word. That's the word that was eluding me. It's a joke. Everybody kind of thinks of him as a joke.
Yeah.
Except for Casey, who's like his BFF. And I don't understand that friendship.
I just feel like it's a number for her.
Because she seems so cool. She seems like the kind of person pretty much anybody would be like, fuck yeah.
I love her. I loved her on Big Brother. I still love her now. I'm always going to be a fan of Casey.
And you don't know how bad of an
edit,
edit,
but
we don't know. We don't know if Josh is really that bad or if it's just an edit. I think
he's that bad. I can't. Big Brother and MTV. I mean,
yeah, there's two shows.
Bad on every
I think so too. Casey's just used to it because she's been around it.
Can we just quick side note though? I know we're not talking about Big Brother, but Robin Cass is no longer going to be the casting director of Big Brother.
It's one step forward. They need a few more.
I auditioned with her. She's pretty intimidating.
Really?
Most of the casting directors I've dealt with for like the game shows and stuff that I've gotten to like the later rounds of auditions for, they have to give that demeanor though. I think it's kind of their whole that like mystique, that aura of sort of thing. But yeah, I'm hella glad to see Cass gone. That's a long time coming. That should have been done many, many years ago.
Yeah, I'm hoping that things turn around this next season now that she's not there.
I hope so. I still think they have some production issues that they need to deal with. I think that's the biggest issue, but we'll see. I'll give it a chance, I guess. I feel like I've given it several chances.
I can never turn my back on Big Brother. I just can't. I've invested so much of my life into Big Brother. How many?
I like Big Brother
now?
Canada.
I mean, I've been watching the show since I was like 10.
It used to be a good show.
Yeah, I'm not with Big Brother and Survivor. You know, I'm never gonna quit watching it, but there's been just a severe lack of I'm gonna call it diversity, and most people immediately think race with that, and I think that's part of it. But I think it's diversity in a lot of ways. They need a wider age range of people. They just need different types of people.
Well, Big Brother, especially, they like to cast from Instagram constantly.
Yeah. And that's honestly probably the one thing that's been keeping me from doing an audition video for this next season is that I'm 36, you know, like I'm probably too old for them to cast on Big Brother the way that they've been going. They typically cast that like one older person who's like the first or second out, and then the rest is like 21, 22-year-olds.
And that's the thing, like people, and it's because it's exactly parallel with race. I mean, maybe not exactly parallel, but age and race are similar in the fact that people are going to gravitate a lot of times, like all things being equal. If you don't know anything about any of these people are going to gravitate to their comfort zone. Sometimes that's age, sometimes that's race. If there's all the people in the house are in their early 20s, and then you got one or two people on the upside closer to 40, those two are going to be outcast. The same way two people who may not look the same as everybody might be pushed to the side, even subconsciously, just because people tend to gravitate to what is like them. You know, this is like me, be it age, culture, whatever. And so I think Big Brother just needs to revamp everything. The Challenge does a great job, but The Challenge pulls people from different shows, so they have a little bit more to work with. They really don't, though, because Big Brother has the world. The world
The
is your
next season of the challenge is supposed to be the OG season, and I'm super excited for that. As like an OG real world, like my mother lives in Ireland, right? And I was FaceTiming with her yesterday, mid-afternoon for me, evening for her, and she was shit-faced. And we were talking about the podcast, and you know, I was telling her about our podcast and what we do. We talked about the challenge, and I said something about Bananas, and she was like, I can't believe Bananas is still on the show. He's so fucking old. I remember watching The Real World from like in between the stair rails when my mom was watching it when I was little, like sneaking. And the episode of The Real World when the one guy like bit the other guy's tongue off, like my mom's like an OG challenge fan, so I was super excited to let her know that like Mark and Trishelle and all these people are going to be on the next challenge, and I'm so stoked.
Some of these people made huge careers out of it too.
Oh yeah.
You know, you got like The Miz went on to he's a extremely famous wrestler. You got Theo Vaughn, became a big time comedian who's got his whole brand going. So this thing can really launch people's careers for the avenues they want.
You know, when they do that season though, the challenges can't be like
no, they cannot be what they're doing this season. There's going to be no trucks driving with getting thrown off the side.
People are like upwards of 50. Okay.
I wonder if they could bring back Big Easy.
I feel like he was rumored.
Big Easy couldn't finish the final. I felt so bad for him. That's what made me realize I could never go on the challenge, was watching Big Easy. Like, I gotta get in shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Legend season though, and
Oh yeah.
Well, we talked about mostly everything. I guess the last thing left to talk about is just Leroy throwing himself in against Jay. It was the move to make. I figured Leroy would if he had the chance.
I think it became incredibly easy, as we were saying earlier. When he saw what challenge it was, I think any doubt he had in his mind that he wasn't going to do it went out. I don't know that he was 100% sure when he went to the crater that he was going to throw himself in. I think he was going to feel it out and see what it was. But as soon as he saw that, he's like, oh yeah, I've done this before. Let's go. Even though
why wouldn't you? You beat a challenge legend in this elimination before. Why not take it on again?
And get revenge for your girl, like he said. get revenge for my girl.
I love Leroy and Cam. I love them. I hope they they stay together and get married and live this long, happy life together. I love them.
I hated the fact that it was Jay and Leroy, though. I do, because they were two of my favorite guys. Like, I really enjoyed Jay and Leroy.
Can Jay get a new barber, though? Can we talk about how awful his hair is?
Come
His
on.
hair is
I
awful.
can't talk because I need a fucking haircut so bad right now.
Well, I have COVID hair too. Look how long it is. My hair's not normally this long, but Jay's hair is just awful.
I hated seeing Jay go. I mean, Leroy beasted out. But I think I have a soft spot for Jay. I mean, partially because I just liked him when he was on Survivor. He was one of my favorite people on his season. And also because of what happened to him last season. I felt like he got kind of a raw deal a little bit, the way he kind of just kept getting thrown in last season. So I was sad to see Jay go, but man, I feel like I'm pulling for Leroy. So I'm you know.
Like Jay. I like Jay too. I agree with everything that you said, but I mean, was he one of my favorites on Survivor? Probably not, but last season, I think he really proved himself in the challenge, and I think he was doing well this season, and I think he did have the chance to go far if he didn't screw himself by following through with, not being honest with people because of Teresa. Like he could have done a lot better in this season, and I was really hoping he would have, but as of this past episode, I was totally on board with Leroy.
This will be a learning experience for Jay for next time he comes. Now I guarantee you he won't do.
I don't know, because it should have been a learning experience on Survivor to trust the wrong
That's
people.
what I'm saying. Like, exactly. He just has not learned from past mistakes, and he keeps putting himself back in the same position.
I think I've always liked players like him and Ozzy. I've always just liked those challenge beasts that
just can't get it
together. Yeah, I have a soft spot for him. I do, because I'm like,
who doesn't love Ozzy though? I love Ozzy.
Yeah, I know.
How can you not?
I just want to be friends with him.
Do you guys think if this is going to be a team challenge at the final, Leroy seemed like he wanted to pick Cam, but Cam didn't want him to pick her. Was that the right decision?
So when he was deciding, I was literally shouting at the TV like, "Oh my gosh, you both have skulls. Pair up with Cam. Like, now's the time to do it. Get with her." And my husband's like, "Not yet. It's too soon. Like, there's still all these skulls left. Like, don't put them together yet." But so I mean, I guess it was a good move. I think this guarantees, still with them being on opposite teams, that at least one of them will be in a final. And I think if one of them is in a final, it's a win for both.
I think that's what it comes down to, honestly. I actually think that is the motivation behind this decision, more so than anything else. I definitely see the possibility that they didn't want to group up together, because then they're actually a power couple. That's a couple, and that makes you a very easy target to get thrown into elimination. So I think they covered their ass on that front by staying separate. But let's be real, they both have strong partners. They actually are they're each on two of the strongest teams, irrelevant of being with each other. So I think this way gives them, if they are planning on getting married and happily ever after, this gives them, the couple, the best chance to actually come out of this with the big money.
I think they've done it right too, by sticking with their partners and not switching it up after eliminations, and they're really building this good bond and relationship with the person they're playing with, and I think that's incredibly helpful. I mean, people like Devin and Corey, and I mean, even Fessy, who have switched these partners numerous times, you could get to a final with somebody that you have no experience working with.
I think it's easy for them because they do have strong partners, though. I think it's easy to say, if Leroy was sitting there with Anissa or something, he'd probably not feel the same way, and he would probably trade for Casey or something like that.
That's very true.
So I think it's easy to say that because they are on, both Kyle and Casey are extremely strong. And if it is a final that's going to be running teams, those are two of the front runners, those two teams. Whereas if you put Cam and Leroy together, that's less from, in my brain, it's like less statistical probability.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying, the probability of it all.
What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I agree that it's too soon. I agree with your husband actually that it's probably too soon because it would make them probably the power couple, like that guy said. That would be a target. But I don't know. I feel like people already know that they're a power couple. So I don't know.
And they're both strong. You know, they're not. They're also a group that people don't necessarily want to go in against down in elimination. So I mean,
I can't see anybody going against Cam. She's fucking 10-1. So why would anybody else try and get her school?
Cam will be used as an assassin by the people who are by the double agents. If Cam goes back in there, it's going to be because, well, we need Cam to take out this person.
But don't you think if Teresa and Jay would have gone to her ahead of the elimination with Ashley and explained that to her and why they were putting her down there, that the aftermath would not have been that bad?
Maybe.
I mean, possibly, because you heard him talking about it after. Jay was trying to explain it. Your girl was the only one who could take Ashley out. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, but at that point, you've already blindsided and you've already lied, which was the main reason for the disconnect. You know, the argument between them all was the lying and the dishonesty.
I agree. Especially because these are all mostly veterans we're talking about. And if you've been on enough seasons of the challenge, you've been backstabbed once or twice. So I think the blindsiding, as weird as it sounds, you sort of get used to that. But you never get used to someone you actually respect on a human level lying to your face. That is, if you want to blindside me in a game because it's a game, then by all means I will understand it. But you don't have to lie to my face about it.
Yeah.
But is it a blindside if you don't lie? That's kind of a
That's true.
contradiction.
I just feel like the problem was they had bad communication with everybody.
Yeah.
Means you're not going in.
Maybe.
Oh man. Any predictions for this next episode?
I see Teresa in the crater.
Yeah, I think that's likely, unless her and Corey win.
I want to see. This isn't a prediction. This is just what I hope happens. I hope TJ goes completely off script, unprecedented. Obviously, we've been pulling for a double elimination. I would love to see a team elimination, but even more than that, I wouldn't hate to see another guy's elimination just to keep the house on their toes, because it would make X guys eliminations in a row. You already know they're already going to think it has to be a girls elimination this week, but it doesn't, because there's no,
There's no rogue agent right now.
Right. And
Yeah.
so even though I'm ready to see the girls compete, because I mean, there's still so many open skulls on that side, I always think about it like from production standpoint, and I'm like, I think you got to keep them on their toes. And I hope it's another guy's elimination, and I hope they think it's a girl's elimination, and it turns out to be a guy's elimination.
You know, one thing we didn't talk about was how TJ said that the votes for the guys who didn't participate weren't going to count. Do you think he said that just because he had already kind of looked at it and knew it wasn't going to change the outcome? Like, do you think it would have been the same if it was going to change who was going down there?
Maybe. I don't know. I felt like he was trying to send a statement that they better, get it together.
Right. But like, I feel like he was sending a statement without changing like what was actually going to be.
Yeah.
100% it was a statement. Which is good. He needs to let him know. Same as hopefully why they need to have a guy this week. Don't get too comfortable. Don't think things are predictable. And at least do what he can to keep them on their toes.
Mm-hmm.
I will say by the preview, it's once again not looking good for Lolo and Nam or Big CT in the next challenge. Both teams look like they were not happy with each other.
I feel like it's because Big T does not perform to the best of her ability, and CT is getting aggravated with that.
Yeah.
Big T is turning out to be very much like, and I like Big T way more than I like Josh, so I'm not even comparing the two. But I mean, similar in the extent of maybe she knows she can't win the show, so I'm going to coast by however I can, and CT can win the show. So he's like, I can't have this,
Do you think he's going to volunteer to be house foe or go down into the crater just to hope that she's eliminated and he can pick a new partner?
Possible.
I think this week the house is going to assume it's a girls' day, and odds are it will be. I mean, let's just be real. Odds are it's going to be a girls' day. I think the house is going to assume it's going to be a girls' day. So I think Teresa and Corey are going to be the house vote this week. But I'm curious to see who the rogue agents or who the double agents put in against Teresa, because it's most of the stronger girls already have their skulls. So if you're really taking a shot at Teresa, do you want to put her against Amber B or Amber M? Or
No, they're going to put her against Lolo or Casey, probably.
Maybe Casey will
Depending
want
on
to
who
go
they are,
in.
who the double agents are.
Yeah, it's 100% going to depend on the double agents, but I agree. I mean, if you know, but the girls are going to want to go in against the Ambers and the Gabby. They're not going to want to go in against each other. So I think that's going to form a really interesting dynamic.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Darrell and Amber B could win and become the double agents. I could actually see Amber putting herself against Teresa.
That's interesting.
Just judging by the way they kind of are foreshadowing something between Amber B and Teresa.
They are, and Amber B seems like I like the fact she came out this week and said, because she's gotten such little airtime this season. We know, and it was the same on Big Brother. Actually, she wasn't super memorable other than her relationship with Homeboy.
I honestly don't I remember she was on Big Brother, but I don't remember.
It was Caleb stalking her was the story. Basically.
Oh, yeah.
She wasn't there for very long, I don't think.
But I like the fact she said, I'm here to compete. If she can hold to that mantra, then I 100% agree with you, Nick. I think she will throw herself in knowing that she's there to try to win and she needs a skull. But I think all the girls would be stupid to not try to be calculated about who they go in against.
You know who we haven't mentioned at all this entire time is Nany.
Well, that's because she's just
Where does Nany
pointless.
fall? Is she just a space filler in the challenge world?
I feel like she's become that way.
Josh.
And she likes Josh.
She does. I don't know why. I feel like Nany likes people that, I don't know, don't give her issues and that will follow along with her, like just like a little friend group and want to sit and talk and be friends with her. And
Josh is a people pleaser.
Absolutely.
Josh has that personality. He is very much a people pleaser. So the people who like to be pleased in terms of just, that's where they get their mental rush from, is people kissing up to them and stuff like that. They're going to like Josh. Josh, you can tell Josh has a good heart. He's not a bad dude.
No.
Like at his core, he's a good person. He's just a giant baby. Like he just is a giant baby.
That's just who he is. He was that way in Big Brother. He's that way now. I mean, he's not changed at all.
And he's not gonna.
Mm-mm.
Well, I've enjoyed not having Bananas and Jordan on this season, and I hope there's no Nany in future seasons, to be honest.
I enjoy Nany as a person. I've said it before. Like, I would love to sit down and have drinks with the girl. I just don't really see what she's doing on the challenge. You're not much of a competitor. You're not very strategic. You're just kind of there in the background. You have conversations with people here and there about maybe somewhat serious shit, but you don't really do anything else.
I like Bananas and Jordan.
I hate Jordan.
But I agree with you. You just need fresh blood. And maybe I like Bananas and Jordan because I just know they're both hella competitors and are both in it to win it any season they're in. They have a good shot at winning the final. I'd rather not see. I think I could do without Fessy or Josh, and that hurts because I actually do like Big Brother, but because I'd love to see. I don't want to see Casey go anywhere, but I could do without Fessy or Josh. I could 100%
agreed.
Okay with that.
I love Bananas. I'm a Bananas fan. I'm not a Jordan fan. He's too cocky.
People say the same thing about West, though. But when you have enough people that have that bravado and that confidence and that ego on the same
They
season.
go about it in different ways, though. I don't feel like Wes is as aggressive and like confrontational as Jordan is.
Wes is just more condescending.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wes still entertains me though.
yeah. I could kick it with Wes. I could not hang out with Jordan.
Jordan, you could just tell is a dick. I think
Exactly. That's what I mean. I think like Wes is still like a nice person. Like you could like sit down and have a good conversation with him.
I think it's just hard not to be inspired by Jordan. The dude has one hand and he is beating his shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm over it. I'm over the one hand. We all know you only have one hand. Like it's so in your head now. Like
But that's not inspirational a little bit to you that he overcame.
I mean, inspirational if you were also like, what's the word? Humble. You know, you like you said, you're a dick. So like you're no longer inspirational to me. You're just a dick with one hand.
I just get burnt out on some of these people. I think that's why this new blood over the last 5 seasons has, well, other than World of Worlds 2, which I didn't like as a season, it's been good seasons with a lot of new blood.
I like the new blood. I like when they bring new people in.
The longer Banana sits out for a few seasons, when he comes back, it'll be a different dynamic. He's going to be stepping into a completely different dynamic than the game he's used to just running from front to back.
Yeah.
So I think
Cool about this season though is that they're kind of they're not just immediately going after rookies just because they're rookies. They're going after people that they don't want to run finals with, people that have proven themselves to be strong, especially with the whole like skull aspect now, where it's like people like Michi. I mean, Michi's non-existent in their minds. He can float the whole way. We don't send him down. He doesn't get a skull. He's not going to be in the final. Whatever. He's just here hanging out. Like he's an easy person to beat. I mean, his name has not come up in any kind of conversation. Prior seasons of the challenge, he would have been the first person down.
Yep.
Hard facts.
You're right. When Banana sits out a couple of years and he comes back and there's this new blood and there's this whole new dynamic of the way the game is played, it's gonna be a different world.
I think that's a really good point about like Mike Michi. Like, and the guys don't care because the guys who are willing to throw themselves into the crater as soon as he's in there, if Michi gets himself voted in by the house somehow, you can guarantee those sharks are going to step out and say, "Time to get my skull."
And I don't see Michi like being a double agent ever. But even if he happened to find himself there, then I don't see him throwing himself down in. Like I just don't see him getting a skull. He's just.
I think there's only one more chance of him to go in because after that the skulls are going to be had and he's ain't going in. So.
Right.
He even said it. I think he said it this week on one of his one little sayings. He's like, "What did I sign up for?" Like, hard.
What happens? So, if the next one's a guy's elimination and another guy gets his skull, then there's 3 more girls? They just do 3 more girls eliminations after that, and there's no more guys. Do they send all the other guys home? Like, how does that work? It was so unbalanced.
I assume there's still going to be some guys ones, but they're going to have to go after somebody with a skull or that already has one.
Oh, okay, yeah, true.
That could add a very interesting dynamic. Actually, they could turn this whole injury debacle with the girls into a very interesting dynamic if they actually come out and say, "Hey guys, there's only 5 skulls, so guess what? When they're all gone, it can't be 2 guys who don't have a skull to go down there and get one. There's no skull to get."
I mean, I kind of want them to just, go to a double eliminate. Well, not a double, a duo elimination because, if a guy already has one, the girl still needs to get one. They could do double.
Yeah, that's true.
At least it would shake things up a bit.
We'll see.
Any final thoughts for this week? What are the odds Josh gets himself in another argument this next episode?
100%.
I think that's a safe bet. I think it's going to be a Teresa Casey creator battle.
Ooh.
You guys convinced me. After discussing this with y'all throughout this, I think we're going to find Teresa as the house vote. And I would not be surprised if either Casey is in the double agent role, puts herself in, or talks to whoever the double agent is to put her in.
I can see that. I can see that happening, unless I said that the odds that Darrell and Amber B win one and then Amber goes in against her. But
Good predictions.
all right. I want to thank you for joining me. I will see everybody next week.
Au revoir.
Do you want to sing something in French before I start recording?
Oh, I could tell y'all my poem. So yeah, when I was in y'all, all y'all French people out there, y'all know this. The way I taught myself hot and cold is my famous little rap, and it's kind of backwards, but it's goes like this. Il fait froid, il fait chaud. It is motherfucking hot and cold because froid is cold and chaud is hot, and now y'all know that. So thanks.
I won't remember that, but thank you.